The movie Gone with the Wind is a classic American historical romance film released in 1939. It was based on Margaret Mitchell's novel of the same name. The film brought together Vivien Leigh and Clark Gable, who played Scarlett O'Hara and Rhett Butler. The film was a commercial success, earning more than $3 billion in ticket sales when adjusted for inflation. It won 10 Academy Awards the same year. Its popularity had a significant impact on both Hollywood and Atlanta. But while Leigh and Gable's on-screen chemistry was impressive, there's an untold truth. Join Facts First as we delve deeper into the relationship between these two iconic performers. Vivien hated kissing Clark. Clark Gable was undoubtedly one of Hollywood's most iconic actors, known for his leading roles and charming demeanor on and off the screen. Gable had his fair share of on-screen and off-screen romantic relationships, but there was one particular co-star with whom he had a tumultuous time, Vivien Leigh. Despite their undeniable on-screen chemistry, it's surprising to learn that Vivien couldn't stand kissing him. However, it wasn't for the reasons many would assume. Watching their smooch on screen, one would never imagine she had an aversion to kissing him. In fact, it's even been deemed one of the best on-screen kisses of all time. Many speculated her off-screen romance with her former co-star Laurence Olivier might have been the reason for her discomfort with Gable's on-screen kisses, but this wasn't the case. In reality, it was something she simply couldn't ignore, and that was Gable's horrendous breath. Gable had periodontitis, a severe gum disease, by the time he was in his early 30s. Unfortunately, this caused an infection in his gallbladder, which affected him during the filming of Dancing Lady in 1933. The disease reached its peak during the filming of the movie, causing significant delays and reshoots, which cost the production an extra $150,000. Gable eventually underwent oral surgery, which resulted in the removal of his teeth and the installation of dentures, which ultimately led to his bad breath. Moreover, he developed halitosis, which is an extreme form of bad breath that can't be solved by mouthwash or mints. His smoking habits, which involved a significant number of cigarettes daily, also worsened the problem. Despite Leigh's discomfort, she managed to put Gable's bad breath aside and convincingly acted out the iconic kiss. Although it's fascinating to know that the chemistry between these two stars was not always as smooth as it appeared on the screen. Vivien Leigh got the most sought-after role. When it came to casting the role of Scarlett O'Hara, it was a highly coveted part. Many A-list actresses in Hollywood were vying for it. Some of the biggest names in the industry, like Joan Crawford, Lana Turner, Lucille Ball, and Katharine Hepburn, were all interested in taking on the role. Even Tallulah Bankhead and Paulette Goddard were seen as potential frontrunners. But producer David O. Selznick ultimately chose Vivien Leigh, a British stage actress, for the role. Despite receiving just one vote from fans when they were polled about who should play Scarlet, Selznick believed that Leigh was the perfect fit for the part. Despite her being relatively unknown in the United States and having appeared in fewer than 10 films. Many fans were skeptical about a British actress playing a Southern belle and were unsure if she could pull off the Southern accent. There is some speculation about when Selznick decided to cast Leigh as Scarlet. Although the story goes, Leigh was first introduced to Selznick on set during the filming of the Atlanta Depot fire scene in December 1938. Some rumors suggest the director had already signed the British actress as early as February that year, and that the widely publicized search for Scarlet was simply a stunt. Regardless, he announced Leigh's casting in January of 1939. Interestingly, author Margaret Mitchell, who wrote the novel, had little involvement in the casting process and wasn't too interested in the filming itself. She did, however, approve of Leigh's portrayal of Scarlet, possibly because the actress bore a resemblance to Mitchell in her early 20s. After the release of Gone with the Wind, Leigh became one of Hollywood's most sought-after and celebrated actresses, despite not being the top choice of many fans and industry insiders before the film's production. She had a nervous breakdown filming Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind was a turning point for Vivien's career, but it came with a high cost. As lead actress, she was subject to long hours and high pressure, which led her to take sedatives to calm her hysteria. Unfortunately, this ultimately resulted in an accidental overdose. At the time, she was involved in a romantic affair with English actor Laurence Olivier, whom she'd met on the set of Fire Over England. However, the relationship was complicated since both were already married to other people. Leigh had left her husband, lawyer Herbert Lee Holman, and their young daughter for Olivier. Meanwhile, Olivier had also left his wife, actress Jill Esmond, and their young son. Filming for Gone with the Wind began in December 1938, and it quickly became apparent that Leigh was struggling. She had undiagnosed bipolar disorder, which manifested as sudden mood swings and crying fits, as well as physical ailments such as itchy eyes and peeling skin from an allergy to the red dirt imported from Georgia. On top of this, Leigh's period was late and she feared she might need an abortion since neither she nor Olivier had planned to have children together. So during downtime on set, Leigh created a disturbing game called Ways to Kill a Baby, in which she pretended to hold a baby in her arms while driving and tossing it out the window. To cope with the stress of the long days on set, Leigh reportedly smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day. The film crew was also under significant strain due to early wake-up calls and long hours. Clark Gable, Leigh's co-star, was also struggling with his own issues. He had no say in the role since he was lent out by another studio, and he was worried he wouldn't master the southern accent. Additionally, Leigh's sophistication made him feel like a rube due to his small-town upbringing in eastern Ohio. Despite the challenges, Leigh persevered, ultimately delivering a performance that earned her an Oscar. Her work on Gone with the Wind spanned 125 days of filming, while Gable's work only lasted 71. Leigh, who was not well known in the U.S., received about $25,000 for her work, whereas Gable, who was dubbed the King of Hollywood, received more than $120,000. Her screen time in the movie was 2 hours and 23 minutes and 32 seconds, making it the longest performance to ever take home an Oscar. Leigh appeared in half of the movie's scenes, which ran for almost 4 hours, making it the longest movie to win the Best Picture award. Both were famously promiscuous. Both Leigh and Gable were notorious for being promiscuous, with Gable earning the nickname King of Hollywood for his many dalliances with female co-stars. William Clark Gable was born in 1901 and worked his way up from humble beginnings in working-class Ohio and theater troupes in Oregon and New York to become one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. Despite rumors of secret pregnancies or other scandals, Gable managed to maintain a relatively scandal-free public image, thanks in part to the lack of internet accountability and the work of Hollywood fixers who kept stories out of the press. He reportedly had many affairs with actresses, including Jean Harlow and Ava Gardner. He also is rumored to have had a relationship with Grace Kelly while they filmed Mogambo, although their breakup was allegedly due to Gable's unwillingness to get married. Throughout his life, he was married 5 times, and his third wife, Carol Lombard, was his most beloved. But even while married to her, he carried on an affair with Lana Turner, as well as other women, including Mamie Van Doren, Virginia Gray, Paulette Goddard, and Evelyn Keyes. Meanwhile, Vivien Leigh, who was married to Laurence Olivier, was known for her own promiscuity and bisexual tendencies. Their marriage was reportedly a sham, with both partners cheating on each other within months of becoming lovers. Her memoirs, Damn You, Scarlett O'Hara, which were unpublished at the time of her death, reveal at least 3 lesbian conquests, as well as her penchant for rough trade, male prostitutes picked up at a Los Angeles brothel masquerading as a gas station called Scotty's. Now it's time to hear from you. Do you think Gone with the Wind is still relevant and impactful today, or are its themes and messages outdated? Let us know in the comments section below.